Tired of missing out on deals as a real estate investor because you don't have the funding for it, or the funding that you do have for it is too expensive. You're dealing with the hard money lenders, things like that, that's charge you a crazy amount of interest rate. Well, we ain't worried about interest rates today because I'm going to show you how to get 150K at 0% interest for your real estate projects. All right. And I'm someone that has helped hundreds of real estate investors get access to millions of dollars in 0% business funding. So I kind of know my way around the block. So I'm going to show you exactly how to qualify for it. And if you stick around to the end, I'm actually going to show you 5 different banks that are real estate investor friendly that you can go to get up to 150K at 0% interest. So let's stop all this talking and get straight to it. What's going on? It's Colin Brown here from Business Credit Unlimited, and I'm back. So let's get straight into it. This is how to get 150K at 0% interest funding as a real estate investor, even with no docs. So what is 0% funding? I want to be very clear on what this is. So when you hear 0% interest business funding, it's normally in the form of business credit cards from the banks that will give you a 0% introductory rate for 6 to 18 months, depending on the institution. So you can get up to 150K at 0% interest, but the introductory period is only going to last for 6 to 18 months. So because of that, it's best to only use this when you can make the investment. You can get the return on investment back within 6 to 9 months. And even if you need cash, so you may be saying, oh, this is business credit cards. How do I get cash? Because normally I have to do a 25% cash advance fee. No, you do not. So you can still get this at a 0% interest rate if you do what's called liquidating your business credit cards. We'll talk more about that later. But that's what 0% interest funding is. This can be done with no docs, but if you do have docs, because you got a rental portfolio, or you have another business in your real estate is what you do within that business, or the same LLC, or whatever the case, where you do have documentation like 3+ months of bank statements, 2 to 3 years of tax returns, profit and loss statements, balance sheets. If you have these documents, then it's going to make it a lot easier to get approved for higher limits. But this all can be done without any docs at all. So this is, again, best for when you can make the return on investment back as soon as possible, because after this 0% introductory rate, just to let you know, you will start incurring interest on that business credit card, even if you liquidate the card, whatever the case. So for example, Chase will normally give you a 0% interest rate on their Chase Inc. Unlimited, the Chase Inc. business credit cards, the Unlimited and the Cash Unlimited, Inc. credit cards, business credit cards. After that 12 months on those two select 0% business credit cards, you will start to incur interest. So that's why I say it's best if you can make your return on investment within 6 to 9 months, whether it is you're renovating a property, even if you're using it for a down payment for a property that you're fixing and flipping, that you'll be able to, get the property renovated and then sold and get your return on investment within this time frame. So you'll have enough time to flip it, get the money back, liquidate the cards again if you need to, pay the cards down, and then start the process all over again. Because once you have the funding, it doesn't go anywhere, and you can continue to get more 0% interest credit cards. Okay. Now, how to qualify this? There's there's 4 main ingredients that you need to qualify for this 150K at 0% interest as a real estate investor. So you're either going to need great revenue, a great credit score, personal credit score, a great business credit profile, or a great relationship with the several institutions that you can get 0% interest funding from. Okay. Now you need at least 3 to 4 of these things to make this happen. You don't have to have all 4, but you dang sure need at least 3 out of the 4, especially as a newer business. And I'll consider a new business that any business that's been established less than 2 years and your annual revenue is less than 100,000. So the easiest way is to come at this thing with a great personal profile, because you can kind of control that the most. Having great revenue, yeah, you may have that, but then you may not, right? The great profile, you can build that up yourself. And then the great relationships with institutions that can be built up. And then the great profile or history, you also can build that up fairly easy too as well. So those are the 3 that you mainly need, but great revenue is going to help. All right, it's going to help get you there a lot faster. And it's going to make it a lot more seamless, essentially. Okay. Even though you may be going at this, no doc, you may be saying, okay, what I need revenue for if it's no docs? Yes, you're right. You can do 150K with no docs. We've done it time and time again. However, again, it's going to make it easier if you do have it, though. Okay. Now, why a great personal profile? Why do you need it? Because most 0% business credit cards are personally guaranteed, meaning that the banks will use your personal credit history to determine if you will be approved, right? Now, what does it mean to have a great personal profile? So as far as personal credit score, normally you're going to want a 720 plus credit score. Depending on the situation, even a 680 could suffice. However, don't really try that unless the other things that we talked about out of the 4 ingredients that you need far outweighs this. Like your business revenue is really high, your relationship is really good with the particular banks or banks that we're going to go to or that you plan on going to, something like that. Other than that, don't even try if it's at a 680. Just go ahead and build your score up to a 700, 720 plus score. Utilization. You want to be at a 3 to 9% utilization for best results. You can get approved all the way up to 25%, but I'm telling you, for best results, that's really where you want to be at. Personal credit history. I have 5+ years. You can get this done with a lot less. It can be 1 year, 2 years, 3 years that you've had a personal credit card. And that's what I mean by personal credit history, 5+ years. I mean having your first personal credit card. You've had it for 5+ years. But again, to go back to what I was just stating, you could have your first personal credit card only 2 years ago, only 3 years ago, and still get great results and get a 150K. But I'm giving you this data point as for what I've seen with dealing with literally hundreds of clients and who got the best results. They had 5+ years of credit history. Okay. Now, the reason is because most banks will go by what's called comparable credit. And comparable credit is the most similar product from what you're applying for. Is when a bank looks at what is the most similar product from what you're applying for. And in this case, that's always going to be a personal credit card. You're applying for a business credit card. The most similar product that looks the exact same is going to be a personal credit card, just for obviously personal usage, right? But it has a balance. It has a limit. You can see how well that applicant is managing their finances with that. So if you have longer personal credit card history and you have, like what we see here, your highest limit is high, then it's going to be much more likely that you can get higher limits on the business side. It's going to be much more likely that you get approved on the business side if you've already accomplished that on the personal side. So there's a reason for it. Some of y'all be like, I don't know why they want my personal credit. Why my personal credit got to be this? Think about it logically. That's why. Okay, one of the most important factors for getting higher limits on the business side is going to be getting or having already established higher limits on the personal side. It says highest limit for best results 25K plus. You definitely can be. I mean, we've had clients highest limit 10K. That still works 100%. But for best results, really 25K plus, or like a 20K, 15 or so, something like that. Best results, no negatives. Now we've gotten approvals with a late payment or two, sometimes three. Anything over three, don't even do it. Just try to get the late payment or payments removed first before you go in, because you're putting yourself at risk for being denied or getting a lower limit with your funding if you go at this thing with several late payments, whether it's on different accounts, the same account, whatever the case. Work on credit repair first. It's going to be worth it. Guys, you would rather do this thing right than do it wrong, and then you just fumble the bag because of it. It's really going to cost you in the long run. No negatives. You don't need any at all for best results, but if you do have them, they need to be 1 or 2, max 3, and they need to be over 2 years. If they're less than 2 years old, meaning that you've had a late payment less than 2 years, then you could definitely be denied or get a lower limit because of that. So keep that in mind. Also, increase less than 3 is optimal. You can get any increase removed off of your personal credit reports that's not attached to a open personal account. Now, great business credit profile. Not too much to say about that. I'll tell you this. As long as you don't have a late payment on a business credit card or another item that's reporting to the business credit bureaus, normally you're going to be good to go on here. You don't have to have too much going on as far as the net 30s and other accounts reporting for the most part. But there are more and more banks that are expecting this, meaning to have a business credit report already built out before you apply. It really depends on the bank, right? And also, of course, business address, professional email, separate business phone number, website, DNB, so on and so forth. You don't have to have all those things, but it does help. And then having something report to the business credit bureaus, which is going to be Experian, Experian, Equifax. They have a business side too as well, and then your DNB. Those are the main 3. Now there are other business credit reports or bureaus, but those are the main 3. Those are the big 3 on the business side. You don't have to have something fully fleshed out, so we're not going to talk much about that. Now, a strong banking relationship. So if you don't have many personal accounts, you only got like one personal account, only one business account, you're going to want to add more, right? You're going to want to build relationships with banks so you can get access to some higher limit funding, because you're looking for 150K to, for your properties, right? Or at least for your real estate investing business, right? So you definitely want to get higher limits, right? For 150K, you can't do that by building out 3K accounts, right? So in order to do that, to get higher limits, you're going to have relationships built with some major institutions. Okay. Now, everything that a real estate investor needs to know about obtaining funding. So real estate investing is considered high risk. Now, some of you, it's really, it's interesting. I don't meet too many people that are not privy to this information. So I think that's very interesting. But either way, whether you probably already know that, that's where I'm getting at. But what you need to know about what to do about that is, or let me go back. You know what? I ain't editing this out. Your real estate investors consider high risk, so your business name can get you denied for business funding. Most of y'all already know that. That's where I'm getting at. But if you do already have a name like House Real Estate, you really need to tread lightly. You have to pay attention to what banks you go to, because every bank is not real estate investor friendly. That's why I call it real estate investor friendly, because some banks will allow you to go in with these names and you don't have to change anything at all. And some of them don't. There's some banks that you want to avoid completely. Okay. Because they're not real estate investor friendly at all. And if they find out that you are applying with a different industry, they could shut down your account. So there's certain banks out there like a PNC Bank, Citizens Bank. Those are two banks just off the top of my head that I can tell you that they do not like lending to real estate investors. Okay. Now, what's best to do, obviously, is to use a different industry when you're applying for funding. But some banks, if they hate real estate investing enough, then, like I say here, is in your best interest. Some banks are not even worth it to apply for at all, right? But even if a bank is real estate friendly, sometimes it's in your best interest to avoid it altogether and still just use another industry. Okay, that's considered low risk. Now, I did promise if you made it towards the end, I would give you 5 different banks that are real estate investor friendly, where you either don't have to do as much or that you can, kind of flip the script and use a different industry and still get approved for funding. And we've personally gotten millions of dollars funded from these 5 banks. So let's start at the top, Chase Bank. That's bank number one. We normally can get 50 to 150K with real estate investors that qualify. You can normally have words like house, real estate, etc., wholesale, whatever the case, and still be approved. So you really don't even have to change your industry up for the most part with Chase currently. Now, Chase is everywhere. You don't have to worry about where they are. We will talk about some regional locked banks here shortly. You want the best profile possible with Chase. They will they will approve some, borderline 700 scores, things like that. But you really don't want to even bother with that. If you can avoid it, just get your score at 720 plus. Normally, Chase pulls from Experian, but they can and have been known to pull from TransUnion too as well. We typically prefer to see higher limits on your personal credit cards before applying for the business side with Chase. So with a relationship, you want to at least have a business checking account with $2K in the account. And that's required for our business relationship managers. You can't apply without it 100%. But if you get a lower limit, don't say Colin didn't tell you why. A personal credit card with Chase is preferred, but it's not mandatory. And having even other products in addition to that is even better. For the highest limits, you must use a business relationship manager. Okay. Now that's Chase Bank. That's bank number one. Bank number two, Truist Bank. Normally you can get about a 15 to 50K for the real estate investors that qualify. They also aren't, they're not too crazy about the industry as well, but that's one of those banks. I still would use a different lower risk industry just to be on the safe side. But Truist is only located in the following states: Florida, Georgia, Virginia, North Carolina, Maryland, Tennessee, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, Texas, West Virginia, Kentucky, Alabama, Mississippi, New Jersey, and Indiana. So if you didn't hear your state's name on that list right here, then don't even bother applying because they will deny you. Don't try to use a foreign entity. They'll still deny that. Okay. Now, there are some ways that you can do this even without a foreign entity, but it's very it's a very niche situation where you would be able to do that. I talk about that in one of my videos, and we'll link that in the description. Okay. Now, you do want a great scoring profile, as you do with all banks, but I will tell you with Truist, we have seen some profiles that weren't as great still get approved for Truist. So just to let you know, maybe if you're teetering in that 715 range or something like that, not quite 720, you probably can apply and still be approved. They normally do a hard pull with Equifax, by the way. And that will be whether you use a relationship manager or not, really. No prior relationship is required, but always better for the highest limits. Use a business relationship manager. And like I said, they aren't as strict. So bank number 3 is going to be U.S. Bank. Now, U.S. Bank, they can go all the way up to 50K for the real estate investors that qualify. And the good thing about them is aren't as strict for real estate. real estate investors. Okay. So they aren't going to be as strict as other banks. So even if you have like wholesaling, house, REI, whatever you got in your name, then it's normally, you normally still can get an approval with US Bank. Now, for US Bank, you can apply for the business credit card in all states pretty much, but you do need to be within a 20-mile radius to apply for the US Bank business line of credit or their other products like their business loans. So, US Bank, they're definitely strict about the profile. They're sensitive to new inquiries and new accounts. So, if you've had a lot of recent new accounts, you may want to pass on US Bank. It really depends. They typically pull TransUnion, but that's subject to change depending on where you stay. A prior relationship is technically not required, but look, I wouldn't even play around with US Bank. I would definitely apply for a business checking account or build some type of relationship with them first, because they're not a new business relationship friendly bank. Real estate investor friendly, but not a new business relationship friendly bank, meaning they don't typically like to lend out higher limits to newer business owners with newer relationships at US Bank. So for the higher limits, use a business relationship manager. And by the way, if you're not familiar with what a business relationship manager is, because I haven't outlined that yet, just in case some of you guys may be new, a business relationship manager essentially is a RM or a relationship manager is a banker that typically only works with business owners with at least $1 million in revenue, and they are able to get higher limits and higher approval rates than your standard bankers in the branch and also online. So that's why you use them. They're like a banker on steroids. They have a lot more pull than the average banker will. And you can get higher limits and a higher approval rate. They have much more of an insight than the average banker will too, especially if you're going online. But really online and in the branch, almost similar. Like it's not too much of a difference you'll see there, but a relationship manager is definitely a rank above any type of banker. And depending on the bank, you can request limits with an RM2. Can request limits with RMs where you can't online or in the branch, just to let you know. Now, American Express is bank number 4. You can get up to 50K as well, and even more than that. Like we've gotten 75K just with one approval with American Express. And they're a bank that is going to be real estate investor friendly. You can even have these names, house, real estate, wholesaling, or whatever the case, and they still will lend to you with no problem. Typically any state too as well. You want to have a great profile, but depending on your relationship, you can get in with even a 680. Okay, they typically pull Experian, Amex does, or American Express, but it can definitely vary depending on your state. And American Express, to let you know, they often do soft pulls if you already have an account or a card with them, especially on the personal side. A prior relationship is technically not required, but look, you want to have a prior relationship with American Express before you apply on the business side. 9 times out of 10 to at least get the best results. All right. I'm not even going to show any examples. So bank number 5, we have to tread lightly here. Citizens Bank, because this is one of those banks that you can definitely get approved for 35 to 50K, but you do not want to use real estate. They are not real estate investor friendly. You want to use a different industry, and you even want to scrub and look at all of your online content. Make sure that you don't have anything out there saying that you're a real estate investor. If you've been in business for like 5-10 years and you got a ton of articles out there, your website, you're like in many different places, so it would be kind of hard to say you did something else. That's something to consider before going to Citizens Bank, because they may research that and pull it up. Like when you set up your EIN number, there's a certain industry that you can pick there. When you set up your business checking accounts, things like that. If you've been doing real estate for especially like over a year, it could be harder. But if you're not in that position, then you should be good to go. It'll be done in many times over. Okay. Citizens Bank will typically lend out 35 to 50K. Like I said, they do not like real estate investors. So consider avoiding house, real estate investing, wholesale, fix and flip, etc. You don't want those things in your name. And if you do have it, use another industry that's low risk. Okay. Now, Citizens is located only in the following states: Providence, Rhode Island, Florida, Delaware, Connecticut, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Vermont, Virginia, and Washington, D.C. So if you're not in one of those states, don't apply with Citizens. Go to one of the other options for funding. Okay. Your business and personal home address needs to be in these states. You can try a foreign entity, but I've been told directly that it will not work, just so you know. A great profile is going to be required here. And typically we'll see a soft pull with Equifax. So something to keep in mind. It's pretty cool. They don't do a hard pull. At least when we use our business relationship managers, they have it. No prior relationship is required, but it's always better if you do. For highest limits, you must use a business relationship manager. I promise you that. Okay. A great business credit score and profile is normally preferred for the highest limit, but Citizens must be able to find your business online if they search for it too as well. And that's why I mentioned that earlier. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, I did this in as short of a period of time as possible, even though we're sitting at around 27 minutes plus and some change here. I could go even further in detail. There's a lot of details that I left off because there's a lot of nuance when it comes down to a real estate investor trying to get funding for your company. That's why I see so many real estate investors, they fail at this. They get lower limits. They get denied, even though they have a great profile. Like my client of mine, he was saying that he had been trying to get funding for a while and he was getting lower limits and he had an amazing personal profile. And then we up and got him 200K for his real estate investing company. So just know that it is a lot harder than what it seems at times. There's a lot of nuance to consider. But if you need one-on-one help, you're a real estate investor. Again, you need funding. You want access to some 0% funding. Then you can just click the easy button, book a call with us. Use the link in the description below. Also, last thing that I wanted to talk about, actually, let's do this before we dip out. Colin, what about cash? You need cash. You don't need business credit cards. You like the 0%. You want the interest rate, but you need cash. You can always liquidate the amount of funding that you get access to. My clients do it all the time. We run it up 50, 100, 150K, 200K, or whatever the case. We send them out and boom, the client is able to liquidate that funding for 0%. Well, the balance that they liquidate is going to be 0%. If they use our partner, that's normally like 6% of the amount that they liquidate. So that if that's for every 100K, that's 6K. But the rest of the amount that you liquidate, say for that remaining 94K, that will still be at that 0% interest rate. I'm going to drop a video that we just did on how to get access to cash out of your business credit cards, or how to liquidate your business credit cards and turn credit into cash. I'll put that video in the description so that way you can get more information and you'll have access to the link there as well to be able to do that if you already have access to funding, but you just need to liquidate it as a real estate investor. And I haven't mentioned this yet, but this could apply for other industries as well. But I want to talk directly to my real estate investors because I know you guys normally have it the hardest trying to get access to funding, and it can make a huge difference whether you get some properties and some deals closed or not. So that's pretty much it. Let me know if you have any comments or questions down below in the comments. Make sure you engage with me. Don't play. Like, go ahead and comment below. Let's get down to it. That's pretty much it. See you guys in the next one. To make sure again that you like, comment, and subscribe, because guess what? These funny videos, they come in every single week, baby. We is not letting up. I have 100 other videos I already got planned, so we not stopping here. Let's get it, y'all. Peace.